Hi everyone, I'm attorney Poonam Minhas. I practice U.S. immigration law all over the United States. Today's topic is going to be a little interesting. It's about the N-400 application process, and what I've been hearing is happening. This is either taken from consultations or from colleagues, and pretty much reports that have been coming nationwide, and what issues people are actually facing while going through their citizenship process. I know that's a mouthful, but I definitely wanted to bring it to your attention because you never know. Maybe you're facing it. Maybe you can avoid facing issues like this. Or if you know somebody who's facing issues with their N-400 application process, then it might be best to share this video. So please stay tuned, and I'll talk about what those issues are that people are facing. Before I give you the list of issues people are facing in their citizenship process, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button to stay informed about anything I post on U.S. immigration law, and hit the like button if you like today's video. Well, you're going to have to watch it till the end to determine that. And definitely hit that notification button if you've already subscribed so you can find out when my next video goes up. All right. I won't take up too much of your time. Let's jump into the topic. What type of issues are people facing? What I've noticed and I've heard about is that some processing times are taking longer. What does that mean? Some individuals were talking about, well, the citizenship application was fairly quick, filed, got an interview within a month or two, and then we were called in, everything checked out, it was straightforward. I got called in for the oath, and now I'm a U.S. citizen. So that's great. But now with USCIS looking into a lot more that derives from how the original green card was obtained, the immigration history, and of course, security vetting, right? They want to make sure that they are properly screening everybody before they schedule the individual for their oath and then ultimately have them swear in as a U.S. citizen. So I've seen processing times actually go longer than it used to be. So that is definitely something that is happening. And I'm not saying this is for everyone, but I'm saying that this is happening and that you should be aware of it. Another thing I've seen for certain individuals is that the scheduling of the actual oath, that process is taking long. So what happens is they filed for citizenship, everything was great, interview went well, they passed their civics, and the officer said, congratulations, you're going to be scheduled for oath, wait for your notice to come in the mail, or wait for you to be notified about your oath ceremony. And what's happening is 2-3 months are going by and applicants are waiting like, okay, well, when is this oath ceremony going to come? So it also depends on availability of when they can actually get these applicants scheduled for the oath and whether they can have this amount of people ready to get sworn in. So I've noticed that trend is also happening where individuals are, not being scheduled for their oath like immediately after getting approved and still waiting for the actual the actual oath ceremony notice to be issued to them so they can show up for their oath. All right. I've also had consultations where applicants have come to me and said, well, we got denied. And when I'm reviewing their paperwork, I've noticed that for them, it was all about filing, their interview, and then straight denial. So USCIS did not issue them a notice of intent to continue, notice of intent to deny, a request for evidence, nothing. It just ended up in a straight denial. And that's very alarming because it's like, well, if you really needed more information to make a determination on this case, well, why didn't you ask me for it, right? So I've noticed that happening too, which is very, very alarming. And if this has happened to you, then definitely schedule a consultation with an attorney to see if you even qualify for something called an N-336, or if you can refile your N-400 application and this time make sure that you have everything so you don't land into the same problem. And I have a list here that I'm going through to see like what I can talk about of the different issues people have faced. This is another interesting one, and I've seen this a lot. Like, this is not even just the beginning of this year, but this has happened in the past few years, where individuals go in to their interview and the officer goes, "Congratulations, you've been approved." And they're walking out like, "Okay, so everything was squared away. My testimony was good. I submitted whatever I needed to submit on my case. And I was told, okay, I'm going to get approved. I'm going to have to wait for the oath ceremony letter." Fine. You go home and then you're like, "Wait, I just got a denial." So that has happened as well, where an officer has informed an applicant, "You've been approved for citizenship. You're going to get something in the mail." But then when time goes by, whether it's weeks or months, they get a denial notice. And then they're in complete shock. Like, what did I just get? What's going on? And I have, seen a lot of this. And I'm really wondering, like, okay, what can we do to challenge this? Is this something that was done by a mistake, or what happened here? So that is something that is happening as well. There have been reports that USCIS officers, especially now, and especially under the policy that came out regarding good moral character, are looking past the 3-year statutory period or even the 5-year statutory period of when you file the N-400 application. So what does that mean? So let's just say you got your green card, everything is squared away, and you file after being a green card holder for 5 years. So you have like a 5-year statutory period they look at to see if you've committed any crimes, if you failed to pay your taxes, if you've been a person of good moral character or not. So now what they're doing is they're looking beyond that. They're not just sticking to the 5 years that you're showing them. They're saying, well, we want to see what's going on past the 5 years. So yes, that's happening. That's causing a lot of, confusion for a lot of applicants. Like, why are they going beyond that? Well, they can if they want to. All right. This one's a lot more alarming too. There have been citizenship applications that have been denied based on a discretionary basis. So what does that mean? So it's not that the person doesn't qualify by a matter of law, but it's like USCIS officers saying, well, I think you're so-and-so and you don't deserve citizenship, so you're not going to get it denied. So there have been discretionary denials that I've seen, which was very shocking, but I've seen that as well, where they think that if you're not a person of good moral character just because, and they'll give you an example probably, and some denials don't even have examples, and they'll just say, you've been denied. So if you're one of those individuals, if you know someone that this has happened to, then I think it would be wise to really schedule a consultation and evaluate your case to see what's going on, or evaluate your situation and see what could be done, right? Okay. The other things I've been seeing is, as I was saying before, longer wait times or whatever, but USCIS officers are auditing your A files, the alien files, to see, okay, well, this person is filing for citizenship, but did they get the green card the right way? Did they comply with the law to get the green card, where now they're trying to say, well, you know what? I want to apply for citizenship. I think a lot of people have been hit with, well, you never lawfully obtained the green card. So because you never lawfully obtained it, or we should have never gave it to you, you don't qualify for citizenship. And that kind of sets you back, like, wait a second, I did get it the right way. And now it's like, prove it. And if your case goes back years and years and years back, and you're like, oh my God, I don't even have the proof to show this, or now you have to scramble, you're really opening up a door with immigration. If you're not sure about your immigration history, or how you obtained the green card, or what the facts and circumstances are for you when you obtain that green card, and whether you even qualify for citizenship, you have to really do your due diligence, especially if you're filing pro se, to look at your case and say, okay, well, this is how I got it. I meet the requirements. And, I can file because I can attack all of this. And I can't begin to tell you how many denials I've also seen where citizenship applications are incomplete. And when I mean incomplete, like, I think I've used this example in the past, but I've seen it recently as well, is where individuals are applying for citizenship and they're not reading the instructions, and they're not giving USCIS what they want to process the case. And in fact, some individuals are not really reading like RFEs or notice of intent to deny carefully and just uploading like anything on the portal. And then that's leading to a denial. It's like, pay attention to what they're asking you for. And then another alarming thing I've seen is individuals giving USCIS something that they never asked for. And now you just opened up a new door for them to question you on and attack your good moral character or your, whatever they need to attack, and say, well, how come you didn't tell us about this before? So you're a liar. You misrepresented yourself. So be very, very careful, and really know what you're doing and what you're really getting yourself into. And I'm not saying this applies to everybody. I'm not saying that this is something that happens to every applicant. No, there have been straightforward cases where people don't have anything to worry about because the green card was derived the right way. There's no issues in the case. They passed the civics. They did what they needed to do. They filed their taxes. They're able to prove good moral character. Great. Everything is great. You got approved. You're getting scheduled for an oath. They get the oath. They get sworn in. Everything is great. But now there are cases out there that are very, very complicated. And when I mean complicated, it's like, are you statutorily eligible for citizenship? Are you eligible because, they're claiming that you lack good moral character, but are you a good person? Are you somebody in the community that is like above and beyond and wonderful? And then they are investigating, like asking your neighbors questions about you, and they're saying other things, but you're portraying yourself a different way. It's very, very important you really strategize and figure out what to do. Okay, so now that I gave you several examples of what's been happening, and this is individuals who have actually been dealing with these type of issues, I want to talk about some tips and what to really look out for when you are working on your citizenship application, or you're in the process of filing it, or you've already filed it and you're like, what can I do to kind of be ahead of the game and be proactive? Well, strategizing and planning is definitely recommended, and definitely recommended with an attorney that you trust, that knows what they're doing. But at the same time, it's like, if you have a case where you went in for an interview the first time and it didn't go too hot, right? It didn't go too great. And then you're getting called in for another interview. Now it's a time to wake up and say, well, I have this amount of time for the second interview and I'm not sure why I'm being called for this. Or, set up a consultation, see if you need an attorney there with you, and definitely speak to that attorney and let them know about the situation that happened the first time during your first interview and what was said to you that was very alarming that led to the second interview. And maybe you might need representation at that point. Some individuals don't even get to a second interview. Instead, they're given a request for evidence, right? Fine. The request for evidence is addressed according to how you believe it's supposed to be addressed. Fine. But then now you get, a second request for evidence, or now this time you get a notice of intent to deny. All right. Like, hey, we sent you an RFE. All right. We asked for all these things. You didn't provide it. Instead, you provided maybe 50% of it. I'm giving you one more shot. And in that one more shot, I'm giving you this notice of intent to deny. Don't mess it up, because notice of intent to deny is that officer is actually leaning towards denying you, but it's giving you another shot, right? Giving you another chance to make it right. At that point, I would say get on the phone. If you don't have an attorney, schedule a consultation and see if you get the help that you need, because now you want to avoid a denial. Because if you get a denial, now you got to have the stress of, oh, do I refile? Do I just sit for my green card? Or do I do the N-336 appeal, right? Those are big questions. And some of this stuff with USCIS or with the government itself is very confusing. It's not just applications you file. If it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. It's to see if you qualify. And if you do qualify and there is a hurdle or a bump in the road, like, oh, you decided to go abroad for over 180 days. And they're like, well, you abandoned your green card. So now you have to prove to me why you qualify for citizenship, because you don't qualify under a certain, physical presence or continuous residence requirement. So now you have to prove it, right? So how are you going to prove that? And that's why they give you that chance with the request for evidence or your testimony at the interview, or even a notice of intent to deny. And at that point, consider yourself grateful, because there are individuals who get denied without getting that opportunity. And you really have to look at your case carefully and see, you know what, I think it's time I need help, right? And then that's when you have to get involved and work with an attorney to really help you get past that. And trust me, if it's a successful outcome, you'll feel like $1 million, because you're like, all right, I got through this hard path and now I'm on my way to, getting scheduled for an oath and ultimately becoming a U.S. citizen. But again, the last thing I want to also say is not everything is guaranteed, okay? It's also based on your circumstances. There could be cases where there's a very slim chance of winning, but then that case becomes successful. Or there's a chance where there's a case that is very strong, but then, USCIS might need a little more to really tip it over for an approval. So really, really look into that as well. Trying to see if there's any other tips I wanted to give you that I haven't said already. Yeah, that's it. And I think the last thing I have here circled is testimony, right? That's the most important one. There are certain individuals who think they're just going to go to the interview and it's, you're going to be tested on civics, reading and writing, or if you're part of an exemption, then you're going to be exempt from certain portions of the test. Fine. That's what you think is going to happen. But that's not all that happens at the citizenship interview. They have a right to ask you questions about immigration history. They can ask you questions about your good moral character, whether you're paying taxes, whether you have any arrests, any convictions. Like I said, they can go beyond the 3 or the 5 year statutory period. And finally, how you testify. Another issue I've seen that I didn't mention earlier, and I want to talk about now, is certain individuals, okay, they get nervous, right? Everybody gets nervous. And some individuals are not able to articulate their thoughts and say what they want to say. They're thinking that what they're telling the officer makes sense, but sometimes it doesn't come out that way, all right? And then you get this denial and you're like, all these accusations and allegations against you, and you're just like, I never said that. Or if I said it, I didn't mean it that way. Well, guess what? Now you got to get an attorney involved to see how you really can clarify these misunderstandings and figure out a way around it. So again, I just want to say, at this point, really evaluate your case, or, get the proper help you need, and really look at your matter and say, okay, now I don't think I can do this myself. I really need professional help. So that's the whole primary reason for today's video, is to talk about the issues people are actually facing and what I've seen, what I've heard. And it's really alarming. Things could be avoided. But hey, listen, if you enjoyed today's video, all right, so back to what I was saying, if you liked it, hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to stay updated on anything I post on U.S. immigration law. If you have a general comment or question, please, you can use the comment section. That's no problem. But if it's specific to your case, I would suggest setting up an initial consultation, or if you've consulted with me before, let's set up a more detailed consultation to discuss your matter. But do not use the comment section below for your personal matters. It should be kept confidential. And that's it. That's all I wanted to say. And listen, thank you for everyone that has been watching me and has been, I hope you've been learning and really, getting to understand what's happening. And with every president, there are changes. There's policy changes. There's different things that are happening. So it's best to stay updated. It's best to really know what's happening. So thank you again, and I will see you soon.